Maria Souliotis, and she is an instructor of library services at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, where she serves as the library liaison to the NSU Department of Music. She holds an MLS from Texas Women's University and an MA in musicology from the University of Denver, where she taught as a graduate teaching assistant at the Lamont School of Music. At NSU, Maria has taught credit-bearing courses in music appreciation and library media. Maria is currently serving as both the Vice Chair of the Mountain Plains Chapter of the Music Library Association and the Mountain Plains Chapter Liaison to the music library students and the emerging professionals affiliate group of the Music Library Association. She is the author of an original article and a book review that will appear in forthcoming issues of Notes, the Journal of the Music Library Association. Outside of work, Maria is an active member of the NSU University Community Chorus and performed with the ensemble in our production of Vito and Amos this April, and charting a new course for information literacy and music.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Before I begin, I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge that we are on stolen land. Vermilion, South Dakota stands on the homelands of the Omaha, Oglala, Sioux, and Yankton tribes. I live and work in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, capital of the Cherokee Nation, which also stands on the homelands of the Caddo, Kickapoo, and Osage. I would like to take this opportunity to honor the people who have stewarded the land throughout the generations and their ongoing contributions to these regions. Right, so information literacy in music. We're kind of at a crossroads in the 21st century of multiple sociocultural trends that are influencing our instructional practice. The newly released Music Companion to the Framework for Information Literacy offers guidance on best practices for incorporating information literacy principles into instruction sessions. How can we put their recommendations into practice? Information literacy instruction is a central part of my role as an instructor of library services. Last year, Notes, the quarterly journal of the Music Library Association, put out a call for papers for a special issue on information literacy and instruction in music. I was interested in authoring an article, but I was unsure of where to start until I began reading some of the extant literature. I soon encountered the concept of curriculum mapping, which Beth Christensen and Erin Connor had incorporated into previous articles on information literacy instruction in music. As someone who loves geography and travel, the map idea gave me inspiration for crafting my own approach to contemporary information literacy instruction. This presentation incorporates some of what made it into that final manuscript, so you're getting a sneak preview, as well as a case study of my experiences in course and instructional design that didn't quite fit in that article. So my analogy begins with equating the contexts in which information is encountered, interpreted, and reinvented to landscapes in the natural world. The concept of an information ecology is defined as a system of people, practices, technologies, and values as they relate to information. This likens the contemporary information environment to the dynamic ecosystems of the natural world. The environments in which information is created and distributed act upon and react to positive, negative, and neutral changes in the human environment. 21st century societal trends, including fluctuating demographics, the aftermath of a global pandemic, and the rise of artificial intelligence, call for a critical reappraisal of the contemporary information ecosystem. In the United States, higher education in the 21st century has been characterized by changing graphics in the student body, with prospective student pools that are more ethnically and racially diverse than in the previous century. Students are also taking more remedial or developmental courses. Approximately 44.7% are enrolled exclusively in distance education courses. Contemporary students, therefore, are increasingly diverse in both their demographic backgrounds and individual learning needs. To give you some perspective, this was overall higher education enrollment in 2018. We had 14.9% of students who were taking distance ed only, so all online, not on campus, totally through their computer. Fast forward to academic year 2021, so this is the 2020-2021 school year. We now have 44.7% who are distance ed only. That is a really drastic change. And I don't even have figures for this year, so kind of makes me nervous, but also excited. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the virtual education landscape and the resiliency of educational institutions and libraries. When classes at all levels of education were disrupted by institutional shutdowns in spring of 2020, stopgap measures were implemented to move teaching and learning to a virtual environment, using processes that Natalie B. Millman describes as pandemic pedagogy. Libraries enhanced their virtual services and adapted their information literacy instructional practices out of necessity. As music libraries continue to adapt their post-pandemic policies and practices, staying abreast of the trends in online education and in digital librarianship will ensure that they continue to meet the information literacy needs of stakeholders. Disruptions in the post-pandemic information literacy landscape continued with the proliferation of large language models that simulate human language, notably ChatGPT. There are even burgeoning forms of musical AI. For instructors who assign extended writing projects, ChatGPT threatens current instructional practices, requiring instructors to examine the underlying objectives of a research paper and consider alternative methods for achieving them. For librarians engaged in information literacy instruction, the convergence of these trends poses daunting challenges for successful teaching. Effective responses to the shifting information literacy landscape demand a reassessment of current practices through the lenses of information ethics, professional standards, and local developments. In the contemporary information literacy landscape, the principles of information ethics can serve as a metaphorical compass, guiding those who engage with information in ways that maintain personal and collective ethical integrity. As defined by Joan M. Reitz in 2014, information ethics is the branch of ethics that focuses on the relationship between the creation, organization, dissemination, and use of information, and the ethical standards and moral codes governing human conduct in society. The term originated in 1988 with the publication of Robert Haldeman's book, Ethical Challenges in Librarianship, which discussed issues in ethics as they relate to different library services. The far-reaching implications of information ethics were detailed in a 2001 essay by Martha Smith, which identified access, ownership, privacy, security, and community as the 5 themes of information ethics, and emphasized that information and communications technologies, or ICTs, would pose new and increasingly complex questions regarding ethical behavior. So ICTs have multiplied in the years since 2001, so we're familiar with social media, algorithms, precision marketing, bots, artificial intelligence, and other information ethics issues that have emerged include censorship, confidentiality, the digital divide, globalization, intellectual property rights, and trust and confidence in cyberspace. Given the many facets of information ethics, librarians will retain their key roles as intermediaries between patrons and information. As the musical canon continues to diversify and respond to societal trends, music librarians will heighten their engagement in ethical discussions involving musicology, ethnomusicology, theory, performance, composition, and other fields, guiding future generations of musicians in ethical decision-making. Students who have opportunities for active participation in ethical dialogues with their instructors and peers will learn how to approach ethical problems creatively, examine the implications of individual and collective decisions, and contribute to the crafting of new ethical standards. So continuing the analogy, We use guidebooks and maps as we travel, and we have guidebooks and maps for our teaching, and notably guidelines distributed by the Association of College and Research Libraries, ACRL, and our own MLA. The latest guidebook is the music companion to the Framework for Information Literacy, developed by the MLA Instruction Subcommittee's Framework Working Group, and later approved by the MLA Board in October of 23. The music companion constitutes a much-needed response to the ACRL framework. The authors of this document acknowledge the different domains of scholarship within the broad field of music, as well as multiple forms of inquiry, teaching, and learning outside of higher ed. The attention given to embodied ways of knowing, defined as the individual's use of the human body as a vehicle for knowledge production and a vital ingredient in generating a personal corpus of musical knowledge, raises questions of how intuitive methods might be incorporated into academic research, teaching, and learning. The companion also places a heightened emphasis on diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, acknowledging contemporary social realities and our pluralist culture. The contemporary approach of the companion and the ACRL frames cultivates information learners who exercise informed decision-making while interacting with information. At the same time, there are other models out there, such as Bloom's taxonomy, that can be incorporated into music information literacy instruction to foster critical thinking and creativity. There is always room for instructors to depart from these guidebooks and craft their own map through the information literacy landscape. So in starting my professional career at Northeastern State University, I mapped my own way to effective information literacy instruction by consulting local guides in addition to the pedagogical models of literature. NSU is a public four-year university based in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the capital of the Cherokee Nation. The university currently serves over 7,000 students at the undergraduate and graduate levels. According to the university's 21-22 fact book, approximately 90% of enrolled students are Oklahoma residents, and 35% self-identify as Native American. The geographic location and student demographics have created a unique academic environment that is acknowledged in the university's mission, vision, and values statement, as you can see. The path to a paradigm shift in instruction at my institution began in January of 22. When Northeastern State University started developing a new strategic plan. The previous plan dated from 2015 and was sunsetting after 8 years. The intervening years saw the advent of the global COVID-19 pandemic, whose impacts contributed to declining enrollment figures at the university. Student retention constituted a top priority when the Strategic Plan Committee began work on the new plan, which was released in January 23. The strategic plan all but requires institutional faculty and staff to reinvent their approaches to teaching and learning to foster student success. And we have the 4 pillars, which are sideways. I'll read them to you. Educational partner of choice, enhancing workforce connections, ensuring student success, and investing in employees and facilities. The implementation of the new university plan necessitated the development of a new strategic plan for the NSU libraries. A committee of 6 library faculty and staff members, of which I was a part, met 5 times from March to May of last year to overhaul the previous cycle's library plan. During this time, we drafted new mission, vision, and value statements for our libraries and new goals and objectives that parallel those of the university. Throughout the process, information literacy emerged as an essential principle governing the goals that materialized. New stated goals include heightening the availability, variety, and quality of digital resources, and hosting relevant workshops that meet faculty and student needs, including those related to career development. We also detail the emphasis on information literacy in our instructional activities and the role of the ACRL framework in our local pedagogy. And this was approved in September of last year. Another major development in instruction involved 2 credit-bearing courses in library media. My colleagues and I had observed lapses in information literacy skills across several cohorts of undergraduate students, and we wanted to address gaps in student learning. An informal assessment of an existing online research skills course indicated that many of the skills being taught were lower level, so 1,000, 2,000 level research skills. After much discussion, the idea to offer both lower and upper level courses in online research seemed like the most appropriate response. In the spring and summer of 23, I collaborated with a 5-member committee of faculty librarians to design a new curriculum. We met regularly over Zoom to exchange ideas and propose course content. Okay, so I will talk through the rest of this as best as I'm able since I'm missing pages. Okay, so what ended up happening was that we created 2 courses, a basics of online research 2,000 level course and an advanced online research 4,000 course. So now students are able to take the 2,000 level course as freshmen and sophomores. This acclimates them to the process of researching using library resources. How do you navigate the catalog? How do you navigate the database? How do you plan your research paper and deliver either a presentation or something written to turn into your instructor? And we continue those themes in the 4,000 level courses, except we try to tie it into the student's future career. So a music student could take the 4,000 level course and they would be tasked with projects where maybe they interview a music teacher or somebody else working in the music field, and then planning a music project with musical research. So we try to tie it into their career a little bit more and focus on some specialized resources. Then I also had a music appreciation course that I had taught in fall of 22. That course involved concert review papers and 4 one-page essays alongside a group presentation. So the one-page essays were on various musical topics, and just judging by the quality of the submissions I've gotten, even though this was pre-GPT, the quality of writing was left a lot to be desired. I don't think the students were having very much fun trying to rush out those essays, and it was stressing them out a lot. So what I ended up doing in revamping the curriculum for music appreciation course was I turned the essays into multimedia projects. So if you're familiar with Wakelet, it's a lot like Padlet. It allows you to make a board, a virtual bulletin board and portfolio with multimedia. Then I turned some of the other essays into discussion boards or the student-produced audio visual projects, say a podcast episode or a YouTube video. I kept the group presentation intact. That seemed to work pretty well before. And then I also turned the final one-page essay into a guided listening worksheet. So what I ended up doing following the theme of curriculum mapping was I took some of those models from Christensen and Connor's earlier articles and I made my own chart of what was going on with my instructional endeavors. So with this table, the music appreciation course, we have student learning outcomes that come from the syllabus for the course. I aligned them with concepts we were teaching locally in our NSU libraries, stored the course activities and assignments in the 3rd column, and then aligned these with the ACRL frames. So you can see there's clear correlation between what is being taught, the activities that were chosen, and the pedagogical frame of reference for everything that happened in the course. I also do the one-shot session instructional library days for instructors as requested. Usually they don't give me much to go by. They say, show them everything, teach them everything. Let's show them what books we have in the library, you're the book lady. Doesn't always go the way that they imagine. It goes better. So I decided that I would need to get in touch with the instructors a little bit more and tease out what they wanted, what kind of projects they were working on with their students, and adapt my instruction to teach the students not only research skills, but help them find resources and think about bigger picture questions that tied into their courses. So whenever they bring a class into the library, I try to get the students writing. I'll use index cards and have a question of the day. It's a great way to take roll and get them writing and thinking, and it helps with sharing ideas, and they don't get so intimidated because you're not calling on them. I've developed my own worksheets for guided listening and also searching databases, because some of these students have never navigated a database before, especially in 2000 level, 1000 level courses. I also do mobile polling. There is a website called Mentimeter, which allows you to conduct a poll and have your students pull out their noisemakers to vote. And then other things like card matching exercises, like sort the primary, secondary, and tertiary resources using these flashcards. So I try to make it as interactive as I can and not so lecture heavy, so the students, everybody has a chance to learn in the way that is a little bit most natural to them. So again, I made a pedagogical map of what I'm doing in my one-shot sessions. So looking at each grade level, so first year, sophomore, and then junior, senior will be on the next slide. Aligning once again with the local concepts we've chosen to teach as librarians at MSU. Storing my activities that I'm doing in the third column, and then aligning once again with the ACRL frames. And I'll have a QR code that links to these maps at the end, so you can all snap it and come back to it later. And this is the junior and senior level curriculum. All right, so I have notes for this. Okay. All right. So embarking on my instructional journey through the landscape, I transformed my approach to teaching information literacy and music, and I'm continuing to make adjustments as new developments arise. So taking the time to observe my surroundings and study maps and consult with locals goes far in ensuring my trips are successful. So one success that I had this year was heightening my collaboration with music department faculty. We had several new faculty, and they weren't quite sure what the library had to offer, but I think I've won them over, so I look forward to working with them again this coming year. Time constraints are always a big hindrance to my instructional endeavors. Sometimes we don't have enough time to do more than one shot each semester. So I might not see the kids again until the next semester or the next year. And it's always tricky to impart different ethics values in those sessions. Adapting to ChatGPT is like trying to hit a moving target. My colleagues and I rolled out the new library media curriculum, and we discovered that our assignments are not. It is frustrating for us to control for plagiarism from ChatGPT, and we're continuing to work on that. So stay tuned. Right, so I aimed for something that was descriptive and not prescriptive to share with you today, and there is no one map suits all approach to teaching information literacy in music, but hopefully the flexibility of some of these strategies will get you thinking about how to adapt your own instruction to develop a new curriculum for 21st century students. Thank you. There's a QR code if you want to see the charts further. Questions, comments? Yes.
How long were your one-shots?
It depends on what time is allotted for the class, since course, the instructors bring them down during class time, typically about 50 minutes. But once you get the class settled, roll taken, and account for dismissal, probably more like 45 or 40. So every minute is precious.
Would they have been exposed to any of the resources? Now, you're talking about junior level probably mostly. Would they have been exposed to any of the resources before their junior?
They should be. I do my best with, especially with 2000 level, I see a world music course that's 2000 level. When the 3000, 4000 level music history classes come in, they've had the freshman roundup kind of courses with the English library. So they've seen my academic search complete and they've done a little bit of poking around, but sometimes you'll show them music index online.
Yeah, they wouldn't have seen like Rogue or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
unless the teacher told them about it.
Yes, yeah, so I think the current group of faculty is doing a little bit better about showing them, hey, this is what we've got, but it depends on who's teaching, so we've had a lot of turnover.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So early on in your presentation, you were talking about the strategic plan, one of the 4 pillars was educational partner of choice. Can you, what does that mean?
Yeah, so that one is very Northeastern state specific, due to falling enrollment numbers and kind of shaky retention. They're trying to market NSU a little bit better to the region and attract even more students from Northeast Oklahoma and then also neighboring Arkansas to make sure NSU is on their radar and consider going there instead of OSU. Yeah. Just arguing that being situated in the region is better positioned to serve students that live there.
Can you remind me if the university is public or private?
We're public.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question. So in Oklahoma, with Governor Stitt and the legislation being passed, no, it was executive order being passed that no state institution can give funding towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm wondering how your university is reacting to that, especially because it is embedded in the strategic plan.
Yeah. So, I mean, just with having such a large population of Native students, that's something the administration is working on about, like, is it still acceptable to provide these services to a federally supported Native serving institution? So I haven't heard much, so it's a kind of stay tuned situation.
Which is I'm glad that they're taking their time because I was a little disappointed. The response that they automatically, we're just going to scrub DEI from everything.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. So many faculty, we even have many faculty that claim Native heritage, and our interim director, she's Native, and she works on all kinds of grants and new programs, and she's just kind of waiting to get a directive. But the provost is making an argument that, for accreditation purposes, we have to, if we're going to have these services, but I haven't heard much.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering, with your high proportion of students and faculty who identify as Indigenous, do you have some awareness of resources that are particularly useful for research in that area? I'm just curious what that sort of bibliographic landscape looks like.
Yeah, so a lot of our historical and cultural materials are housed in the NSU archives. So not only documents, but also AV as well, photographs. The Cherokee Nation, locally, they have their own archives and history department, if you will. So it's a lot of preservation as well.
All right, we have to cut off. Okay. Thank you.